Church basically says that if somebody's truly intelligent, they don't usually go about boasting about having a high IQ, which is, by the way, something that I wouldn't necessarily disagree with as a statement. It's not that I disagree with Ryan Upchurch about this, but I'm saying that that's faux wisdom. It doesn't always apply. If you understand what I mean, what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is essentially that it's a rule of thumb, but it doesn't always actually apply. Sometimes a person makes a boastful claim about having a high IQ because they're too socially retarded to know that, that's what other people usually, they have that rule, you know. So, everything is kind of rigged against me in a way in those battles because like I don't get other people. Watashi wa wakari masen. I don't understand other people. But I do understand things like numbers and financial systems and that sort of thing. I have poor social skills at times, so I don't know how to convince other people of my intelligence. But I think the fact that my credit score was literally at 613 on March 3rd, you know, or on March 11th, actually, to be precise, of this year, it was 613. Today, look, 668, skyrocketing a whole 55 points in just a few months. I don't tend to boast about having high intellect. Among other things, the high IQ problem is just that, yeah, when tested, my IQ was actually quite high. But that's not really like one of the things is that you don't think that somebody that has high intellect never like socially like reflects on these issues or thinks about them ever. The IQ system itself and has anything to say about IQ. As a metric for measuring intelligence because I've been against the bell curve as a way of evaluating people and candidates for job positions and that sort of thing for a very long time because I think at the end of the day when it comes to predicting how successful somebody will be over the course of their life, high intellect and high IQ is a good measure, but quite often EQ matters a lot more. Emotional intelligence. I mean, there's all kinds of other metrics and models that you can use to evaluate a person's intelligence, and that's why I've always been against the bell curve as a way of and that stupid little fucking book and the people that racists like to trumpet is that there's more than one kind of intelligence now, isn't there? You know, and emotional intelligence is usually more important. I mean, look at what happened with that NASA figure. Just a couple of years ago, there was that woman that was like, she had a high intellect. She was a member of NASA. She worked at NASA. She had worked her way up through the hierarchy of the bureaucracy, and she was a literal astronaut. And then, of course, she finds out her lover is cheating on her and drives across multiple states to assault and attack the woman that she cheated on her with. You know, and ends up in prison basically, and ends up a victim of the legal system as a result of her crimes. Like if you have a high intellect, you often end up becoming a criminal because you don't have the emotional intelligence to restrain yourself in situations like that. There's a danger, of those two things and the mismatch between the two of them. Like, I don't know how a person could have this conversation or say these things if they were not actually intelligent. But, Ryan Upchurch has this whole, rule of thumb that usually when people say they have high intellect, they're bluffing, but that's just a rule of thumb. It doesn't always apply. Sometimes people are competent and they're claiming competence just because they actually are competent. And what is his wisdom and his school of like how like when is it how is he going to know when he's wrong when this rule doesn't actually apply to the situation at hand? When the rule of thumb breaks down, you know, when somebody is claiming that they're intelligent because they actually are intelligent,